Maybe it's like my villain origin story. When people wonder, why do I hate video games so much? I think when I was in 5th grade for Christmas, it was when N64 first came out.
Yep.
And all my friends were getting the N64s. And then I told my parents, can I get the Nintendo 64? And I was promised that I would get the video game system. And then I opened it on Christmas Day, and it was a Super Nintendo.
Well,
so I got,
same thing.
You're right. That's one generation before. And then I went to school, when Christmas break was over, everyone was like, oh, did you get the N64? And I lied, and I said I did. So I had to keep this lie going. I kept it going for years.
And now it's time for another interview on the Babylon Bee podcast.
Inflation is on the rise. The dollar is in danger of collapse, and an overheated stock market could crash at any time. The upcoming election is only adding to the chaos. Fortunately, you can rely on the good folks at American Hartford Gold to help safeguard your financial future with physical gold and silver. Diversify your savings with precious metals delivered right to your door or in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. Protect your retirement from a collapsing dollar and crashing stock prices. Call 866-835-0822 today for your free information kit. Text INFO, INFO, to 998899. You can qualify for up to $15,000 of free silver. Gold has hit record highs and keeps climbing. Text INFO to 998899 or call 866-835-0822 today for your free information kit. Again, text INFO, INFO, to 998899 or call 866-835-0822.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Matt. It's good to, I don't know, have we ever had an honorable judge on the program?
We've never had a real judge on the show before. I don't think so.
Never a real judge, only actors. So it's great to have a real, justice of the peace on the court here on the show.
Well, you claim to be honored, but you're not wearing that flannel. It's just crumpled up.
All right, hang on.
Disrespected the flannel.
I'm working on it. You continue.
Well, our audience does know who you are because, as you know, we are a legitimate news source, and we have written a few articles about you. So we wanted to go over those with you and just verify whether or not those are true. We have one news headline that reports Matt Walsh is currently mad about something. Is this accurate?
I am, it's most of the time you could publish that headline and it would be pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. It's not always, it's despite popular opinion, I'm not always angry.
What are you mad about right now?
This exact moment?
At this exact moment.
Well, not wearing the flannel.
Well, we fixed that. We fixed that.
That's how we... Yeah. Oh, now you got it on. Okay. Well, now the anger has subsided and I got to look for the next thing to be mad about.
All right, next headline.
Next one is Matt Walsh goes on Jeopardy, responds to every clue with, "What is a woman?" Is that accurate or fake news?
Well, I can't say it's accurate, but I think it captures the essence of something.
Okay.
It's like slightly, I'm slightly offended by it because it's insulting, but I know you guys have made fun of me quite a bit over the years.
Yeah.
It deeply hurts me every time. I try to smile through it.
We're just reporting the news as we see it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not no offense intended.
This next headline shocked me greatly when I saw it, but I believe this was true. We found leaked security footage showing Matt Walsh attending a yoga class.
I remember that one from that might have been the first time that you guys...
Possibly. You don't have a beard in this photo, so...
Yeah, right. And that's the most offensive thing about that story is the beardless picture. I don't know where you got that from.
I need to demand hazard pay because I had to Photoshop Matt's head on a guy doing yoga.
Yeah, I mean, you can see from the picture there, like my wife prefers me with the beard, and which is a good thing, but it's always somewhat insulting when your wife says she prefers you with a beard because it means that she's saying that your face,
less of your face,
half of your face is ugly. Please cover it. Right. So.
Yeah.
Can't disagree, though.
The less I see of your face, the better.
Exactly.
Is how I interpret that. Matt Walsh blasts video games as childish, pointless drivel after son beats him in Mario Kart.
The first part of that is definitely accurate. I have not played... You know what? Here's the thing, though. I wouldn't play my son in Mario Kart because that was the one game growing up that I wasn't... I was never very good at Mario Kart, I have to admit. even when I was a kid with the Super Nintendo. Never quite mastered it.
Did you have any favorite video games growing up?
You know, I got, I think I've told the story before on my show, but maybe it's like my villain origin story. When people wonder, why do I hate video games so much? And I think there are plenty of reasons to hate them, but I will admit that I think when I was in 5th grade for Christmas, it was when N64 first came out.
Yep.
And all my friends were getting the N64s. And then I told my parents, can I get the Nintendo 64? And I was promised that I would get the video game system. And then I opened it on Christmas Day, and it was a Super Nintendo.
Well,
So I got,
same thing.
You're right, that's one generation before. And then I went to school, you know, when Christmas break was over, everyone was like, oh, did you get the N64? And I lied, and I said I did. So I had to keep this lie going. I kept it going for years. Like I kept making up, they talk about the latest game they got, and I kept making up that it was this whole thing. The whole trajectory of my life was like determined by this period of my life.
If you had gotten the N64, you may not be the Matt Walsh we know today.
Probably, I'm a much better person, probably, in so many ways. I'm a much more pleasant person to be around, probably.
That's an incredible story. All the schoolmates like talking about Ocarina of Time or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, that one."
It truly was a Shawshank Redemption. And the final headline we have is scandal after FBI discovers 48 gigabytes of anime on Matt Walsh's computer. Is there any veracity to that?
I absolutely deny that one. That could not be farther from the truth. I've tried with anime. I can't get through it. It's too weird. You know, I said that it was satanic. I was forced to watch anime, and then after watching it, I said it's even worse than I thought. It's terrible. I can't.
Now, which animes did you try?
I did watch One Punch Man is the one that I watched.
Okay.
So and I didn't like it, and I've told people that ever since then, and they say, well, it was the wrong one. You watched the wrong one.
Yeah.
Because no matter what anime I watched, and I didn't like it, people were going to say, well, it was not that one. Try another one. But
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah,
that's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, for anybody who doesn't know, Matt Walsh is a best-selling LGBTQ plus children's author, and he has been decorated with the honorable title of Transphobe of the Year in 2022. So I don't know how aware you are of this, but in 2022, the Babylon Bee was suspended from Twitter for the grave sin of calling the brave and beautiful Mr. Rachel Levine a man. Some say this event was one of the factors in Elon Musk's eventual purchase of Twitter, an action which ultimately changed the course of free speech in America. But, you know, we're a little sad, though, because we weren't in the running for the title of Transphobe of the Year despite that. So our question for you is, you're kind of an inspiration for us. What can we do to rise to your level of transphobia?
Yeah, well, that was a great year. That was a great year for transphobia, and it was tough competition. There was competition with you guys. Libs of TikTok was another one. And you say you weren't in the running. I think you sell yourselves a little short. I'm sure you were in the running.
Okay, we just got beat out.
It's just that, yeah, they didn't give honorable mentions. They didn't give a second and third place prize. I think that they should have.
Okay.
And I also think that same publication that awarded me Transphobe of the Year, I was like 2023 has come and gone, and I was hoping for the repeat victory. And as far as I know, and I kept checking and refreshing their website, I don't think they gave the award to anyone, because I think that I enjoyed the award too much, and so they decided we're not ever doing that again.
But as the winner of that award, could you bestow us like the runner-up award, like officially?
Is that how it works?
I don't know if that's how it works, but sure. Yeah, I'll give you guys
Awesome.
you want silver? You want the silver medal? I'll give you the silver medal.
We'll take the
We'll
silver.
I think you're deserving.
We'll take it.
You're deserving.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what Riley Gaines got, right? So
Yeah,
We'll take it.
Just like Riley Gaines, silver medalist.
So Media Matters also tends to follow you a lot, but again, we're a bit jealous because we don't see any Media Matters highlight reels of us. What can we do to get on their radar?
Do you really? Media Matters doesn't come after you guys? Is
We
that
don't.
true?
They've never done, highlight reels. They don't watch. They don't hang on our every word like they do yours. It's really
Kind
disappointing.
of sad.
That is sad. I guess. Well, unfortunately, it was a very sad moment. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but over at Media Matters, there's massive layoffs just like a week ago, and so I'm not sure there's anything you could do at this point to get on their radar. They just don't have anybody left, and I'm frankly worried. Ever since that they did the layoffs, I haven't had any headlines in Media Matters. I think they laid off whoever my dedicated stalker was. That person is gone now.
My condolences.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Thank you for saying that, because all the Media Matters employees were all whining because they lost a job. They can't eat. They can't afford the rent on their apartment. Meanwhile, what about me? I have fewer headlines about me now. So think about
that's the most important thing of all.
Exactly. That was my point. But I thank you for the condolences. I appreciate that.
Yeah, once they got laid off, the viewership on Matt's podcast just
tanked
because it was all Media Matters people. Sad. So Pride Month, do you like it?
No, can't say that I'm quite a fan, although maybe this year has been my favorite Pride Month so far, because it's been very defeated and muted, I think, by the left, by a lot of these corporations. I mean, to me, it feels like it's a shell of what it once was. Like, a lot of these corporations are sort of going through the motions because they know that they have to, but it's not what it once was, and I think because they've maybe learned their lesson. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
You say you don't like Pride Month, but if that's the case, why did you choose to have your birthday on Pride Month? It seems like you like it.
That's a good point. People also know that I'm anti-birthdays, so maybe that's why. I'm anti-Pride Month. I'm anti-birthdays. I'm not anti people being born. I think it's good to be born. I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
I just mean that once you get past childhood, I don't think that your birthday should be. At most, it's cake at the end of the night after dinner. You have the cake. Someone gives you a present, and that's the most that you should do. It shouldn't be a whole thing.
The whole Pride Month thing and all the LGBTQ movement does feel super insane right now. Like even 2 years ago, you wouldn't imagine some of the things that are that are happening and the headlines that you see. So 200 years from now, how do you imagine historians will view this age and our views on gender ideology as a society?
I guess that depends on if there's a human society left 200 years from now. I'd like to think that there will be, and if there is, then it sort of means, like, by definition, there will have to have been an awakening, a moment of sanity, in order for civilization to continue at all. So if it's still around 200 years from now, then we can assume it's a more sane world. And I think that I've thought about that a lot. How will exactly your question, 200 years from now, how will this look to people that are reading about it in history books? And I think it will look like a period of mass psychosis. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to judge it.
You've said that you've seen some companies scaling back a little bit. Obviously, Target hit some backlash from last year. Do you see the tide turning?
I think there is a tide turning. I don't know that, I don't think that certainly in the next 10, 15 years, we're not going to see, the abandonment of Pride Month entirely and a return, to, sort of cultural conservatism in the mainstream. But I do think that, I think that there are, you can notice areas of improvement and where, in fact, the right is fighting back and winning.
Right.
When it comes to gender ideology, the big one is the indoctrination and mutilation and abuse of kids through gender ideology. It's still obviously going on. The fight continues, but it is the people promoting that agenda have taken, I think, massive losses on the cultural battlefield over the last 2 or 3 years. And that's both in the eyes of public opinion, but also legislatively as well. So I do think the tide is turning.
You were no small part of helping change the culture. 2 years ago, you released your documentary, "What is a Woman," where you posed the simple question, "What is a woman?" We wanted to know if you found the answer yet.
Well, I don't want to give any spoilers away. If anyone hasn't seen the movie yet, I don't want to spoil it. But there may have been a scene at the very end of the movie where the answer was finally delivered. But you gotta watch the movie.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Have you seen our own hit documentary, "What is a Man"?
I did see that one, and I thought that it was a worthy follow-up to What Is a Woman. It seemed like it was a little bit easier on you guys to film that one.
Well, we put a lot of work into it, but
I mean, you did. I'm not taking anything away. I'm sure there was still months and months of work, but
right.
It was a worthy follow-up, certainly.
Yeah.
Sure. You're known for your staunch belief in extraterrestrial life. Is the reason of your certainty due to the fact that you are yourself an alien being? And if you are, you're legally obligated to tell us it's alien law.
Is that the law? Well,
That's alien law.
if I'm an alien, then I know alien law better than you do, and so
Well,
you can't quote alien. I'm not. I've done some research on my own on this and talked about it. That I'm not an alien myself. There's a possibility that I may work with. I've looked into, for example, Ben Shapiro, and I think
he has control of space lasers. After all,
It's true.
exactly. There's reason to believe, and he's to suspect that someone's an alien. The first thing you have to look at is, are they a denier? Because what would an alien do? They would deny not only that they're aliens, but they would deny the existence of aliens. I don't. Ben Shapiro does. Pretty much everyone that I work with at Daily Wire denies the existence of aliens.
that is what
which
an
I
alien
find
would say. They would
Exactly what an alien would say. It's true.
precisely.
Voting. Should anyone be allowed?
Some people should be. First of all, me. I'll allow myself.
Okay.
Maybe I'll allow you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Thank you.
We'll talk.
Thank
But many fewer people should be voting than currently are. And the idea was never that just voting is a universal human right and that the way to a prosperous future is to get as many warm bodies into the ballot box as possible. That was never the idea. And there should be, this shouldn't even be controversial. There should be some, that's all I'm saying, some standard. Like, what is the standard that we apply to the people who are going to help determine the future of the country and who leads it? And here's one basic standard. Do you know anything at all about the basic structure of our government? You're going to be voting on who's leading the government. Do you know anything? Can you tell us what the branches of government are? Do you even know what they are? How many there are? Like something basic like that. If we could just start with that, then I'd be happy.
I hear people regularly recite when it's coming time to vote that it's your civic duty to vote. But in reality, I believe it's your civic duty to vote responsibly or with some precursor of knowledge in any semblance of a form.
Right, of course. And of course, it's not just your civic duty to just do it. Like, in what other context would we say that you have a duty to simply just do something regardless of how you do it? Normally, we understand that, well, if you have a responsibility to do something, then the first responsibility is to make sure that you're able to do it well, do it responsibly, as you say. So stay engaged and informed on at least a basic level, and also be a contributing member of society. You have to have some skin in the game. So I think those two things are the prerequisites, and then we could talk about voting.
Well, while we were preparing for this interview, we were asking other people who know who you are what they would want to ask you, if there was any one thing that they could ask you. And the number one response was overwhelmingly, why do you hate joy?
Why do I hate joy? Well, I think that is a misconception. I don't hate joy at all. In fact, I like joy. I like happiness, if you can believe it or not. I think happiness is good. Love, happiness, puppy dogs, rainbows. Maybe not puppy dogs and rainbows, but the other things I'm very much in favor of. I think that we have in our culture, some very skewed ideas of what joy is and how to find it in life. And so oftentimes I can be critical of the way that our culture leads us to what it calls joy. And I'll say that, well, that's not how you find it. And then when I say that, I'm accused of hating joy, but that's not, I don't think that's quite accurate.
All right. Well, you have a new show, Judged. Why did you do that?
Why do we do anything in life? That's a good question. Why did I do that? I think because I've always been accused of being judgmental, and then this idea was pitched, and I thought, well, I can just judge people and get paid to do it. What's not to like? It's a lot of fun anyway. And then when I was told that, because I never knew exactly how the judge shows, and I'll admit we're not the first judge show to ever exist. There have been a few others, that maybe people have heard.
One or two, right?
One or two. And I wasn't sure how exactly that works behind the scenes. But I found out that, in fact, you do have some legal authority over these people's lives. It's not a lot. It's not as much as I'd like to have. But you are a legal sort of arbiter of their decision. And so when I found out that, I said, let's do it.
Are you allowed to sentence people to, like, let's say, death?
Well, if I was able to do that, then nobody who came on the show would survive it.
Oh.
And we'd have trouble finding contestants for season 2, I think.
Yeah.
So unfortunately not. It's a very limited, we can assess financial damages the scale is unfortunately very limited, but I take full advantage of the little bit of power that I'm given. I can assure you of that.
You've said that people refer to you as judgmental. Do you see that as a purely negative attribute?
It's not, given how people use it, because in our culture, when people call you judgmental, what they're saying is that you are exercising judgment at all. So if you exercise any kind of judgment, you're automatically judgmental. But as we know, it's like you can't function. You cannot be a functional human being in life without exercising judgment. We all make judgments all the time.
Right.
Discernment. We all exercise discernment all the time. And despite what we're often told, including sometimes in churches, we are not, as Christians, told that we're not supposed to ever exercise judgment. The point is that if you're making a judgment call, that you should judge rightly and not wrongly. That's the distinction. I don't think it's an important distinction. It shouldn't be that hard to pick up on for people.
Let's imagine, though, that you have unlimited judge powers, and you can sentence anybody from, slap on the wrist, time served, all the way to death penalty or something worse. We have a few scenarios for you, and we'd like you to render your sentence or judgment for these crimes.
Great. Yeah, let's do it.
The first one is, you're shopping at the store. You come out, putting your groceries in the car, and you see a woman. She's a single mom of 5, and she doesn't return the shopping cart to the corral.
Look, she's a mother of 5 in this scenario. Single mother of 5, you're saying. I don't know how I would know that necessarily, but
She told you.
She volunteered that information. Yeah.
Okay. And single mothers tend to do that, so they tend to volunteer that. So I'll be merciful, and it would not be a death sentence.
Okay.
I think that I think a more reasonable sentence would be 4 or 5 years in prison, and a fine of $500,000.
Yeah.
So imprisonment and financial ruination is what, because mercifully that's what I would assess in that case. But there's no excuse. Listen, I'm not getting on a high horse here, but I have 6 kids of my own. I've gone, believe it or not, I have gone to the grocery store by myself with multiple kids. Not all 6. I'll admit I haven't done that. I've had up to 4 kids with me at the grocery store by myself, and I still return the cart. I find a way to do it. So I don't want to hear any excuses. It's not that difficult. You know one thing you can do? This is a nice little trick of the trade. Just, they have those cart corrals in the parking lot. Park next to one of those. And they're almost always, especially back in the back of the parking lot, you can always find they're always open. So you can just park there, and then it's easy.
Okay. Under Judge Walsh's reign, I would like a sign by the cart corral: not returning cart, punishable by up to 5 years in prison.
And $500,000.
And $500,000.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Very gracious.
That should be enough. By the way, that should be enough incentive, because these grocery stores that they do you put a quarter in to get the cart, and you get the quarter out when you bring the cart back. That is enough, apparently, to incentivize people to bring their carts back. A quarter. So imagine if there was $500,000 on the line. That would really shape people.
Problem solved.
Whip people into shape, I think. Yeah.
It's tough though, because I don't carry quarters on me, so I can never access those shopping carts. But that's another story.
I feel like by inflation, there needs to be a $20 bill now.
Possibly.
I wouldn't even go back for a quarter, honestly. But
Okay, for the crime, how would you sentence someone for the crime of watching anime?
Again, this is I'd like to say it's an automatic death sentence, but I also think that, first of all, the distributors, when it comes to any toxin, it's the distributors and the peddlers of it that should get the toughest sentence. So I think we could talk about the death penalty for those who create anime.
okay, the animators. All right.
Yeah, I think maybe them. If you watch it, no, I wouldn't say death penalty for that.
Okay.
I think just you're not allowed to have access to a television or an internet connection ever again, because you can't be trusted with it. So you'll never have access to that ever again. That would probably be the penalty.
That is a sentence.
Okay. It fits the crime.
Yep.
What about falsifying business records in relation to a hush money payment to an adult film star, and this causes you to pay more taxes in the state of New York?
That's the part. If there's one thing that Trump did that I personally find extraordinarily outrageous.
We weren't
It's that he
inherently
paid-
talking about Trump, though. But
Oh yeah, just
in general.
in general.
All right. Oh, no, I get it. It's just a general. It could be anybody. But let's just say, hypothetically, if it was someone like Donald Trump, say, that was brought up on those charges, the fact that he voluntarily paid more taxes is, to me, the thing. If there's anything deserving of imprisonment in what he did, like that, you would volunteer to give more taxes to the government, I think is unconscionable.
Yeah, it's heinous.
So, sentence?
In that case, there would not be any sentence because I wouldn't have brought the charge if it was up to me. Unless, and I've said this about the Trump case, if we lived in a world where we hate politicians so much that we look for any excuse to put as many of them in jail as we possibly can. If we lived in a world where like the reward for being president is that you automatically go to prison for something, I could probably get on board with that. But the problem is that Trump is the only politician we've ever treated that way ever. And so that's why I can't accept it.
How would you sentence someone who holds a public yoga class on a beach?
This is another one. I know that's a real case, and that's what they're doing in California. They're focused on the public yoga. This will surprise people. When they were going after the people that were doing public yoga on the beach in California, I defended them, as a matter of fact, only because, again, you got to look at the context. And if we're getting to the point where we are putting people in prison for doing public yoga on the beach, then I at least want to know that we've gotten all the drug addicts off the street, and there are not illegal immigrants like landing at the beach like it's Normandy and invading the place. I'd want to know that, but that is what's happening in California. So in that context, I don't think I could sentence them.
So a quick follow-up sentence. How would you sentence someone who defends public yoga classes on the beach?
Well, because it's me in this case, and I am above the law, I guess I would not sentence them at all.
Fair enough.
I like it though. It's like once we've gotten all the drug addicts off the streets and all these violent criminals off the streets, then you'd be okay with going after the yoga people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, sure.
I'm on board with rounding those people up, shipping them, exiling them to an island somewhere. They can do all the yoga they want, but it's priorities. Like we'll get to that once we do all the other stuff.
We got our answer.
Yeah, it's fair.
Isolation.
A woman reclines in her airplane seat over 2 inches.
Oh, that's automatic ejection from the airplane. Wherever they, hopefully for her, she did that before takeoff, and then it'll only be minor injuries. But whenever you recline the seat, you are ejected from the airplane.
If it's a Boeing, you might just
You
get
might happen
automatically
anyway.
ejected
Yeah,
no
that's
matter
true.
what.
It might happen anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How would you sentence someone who places the toilet paper roll with a flap facing the wall like an absolute idiot?
I think the sentence there would go to anyone who has a strong opinion about the toilet paper thing, because so that would be you, I guess.
It's not me.
'cause
It's just the absolute idiots that do that.
I just don't have. I have strong opinions about many petty things, and even I am not so petty that I have any real opinion about how the toilet paper is situated on the roll. I just don't. I don't have an opinion.
You're allowed
about
to
that.
be wrong from time to time.
How dare you? How dare you?
The 10 questions.
All right, well, we've come to the end of our judge inquisition. Now, we conclude every interview with the same 10 questions, and no one is above the interview law, not even a judge. So here are the 10 questions that the Babylon Bee asks literally everyone. The first one is,
Okay.
have you ever met Carmen?
Carmen?
Yeah, the Christian recording artist from the 80s and 90s.
No.
Okay.
Are you a Calvinist or an Arminian?
Neither.
Okay.
All right. Question number 3, you get to add one book to the Bible. What is it?
Maybe the book that's sitting right there on your set. Maybe I'd add that. What is
Your
one?
own book. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It'd be one of my books.
Next question. Cigars or pipes?
Look, I like the idea of cigars. I mean, rather of pipes. I like cigars. I like the idea of pipes. I've tried to get into the pipe thing. It looks very distinguished. You automatically increase your IQ by 50 points. Everybody knows that. But I just couldn't get into it. It's like too much effort with the pipe, with smoking the pipe. You got to pack the tobacco right. It's just a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So I go with the cigar.
Question number 5. You get to hang out with any 3 people, living or dead. Who are they?
I'd hang out with my family that I love dearly.
Which 3?
Which you have to pick 3.
Oh yeah! Wow, I shouldn't have said that. Now that the question gets even harder. I can't choose.
Okay.
Okay, so not your family then.
I hang out with you guys.
Thank you.
We do this,
Appreciate
we do
it.
the
Great.
podcast.
Yeah.
We just keep doing the podcast forever.
Thanks. Whiskey or beer?
Whiskey.
What would be the first thing you would do as president?
Oh man. Oh geez. There's so many ways I want to impose my will on the American public. It's really hard to choose. I don't know. It's a cheap answer, but I probably the shopping cart thing. I'd probably start with that. That's an easy thing you can start with, and I think that's a snowball effect.
Sure.
Yeah. That would heal society from the ground up, I think. Yeah.
Exactly.
Next question. Have you ever punched anyone or been punched?
Yes to both.
What's your best punching story?
I don't have any great ones, but
Okay.
I went to public school, so
All right.
any guy who goes to public school, I think, can you get through public school without having a few punching experiences, both receiving and delivering? Is it possible? I don't know. You can? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess. All right. You get to go to one concert, any band in history. Who do you go see?
Any band in history? Probably I would go to the Beatles concert
Okay.
Sad.
so that I can complain about it the whole time.
Oh, well, okay. That's great. Yeah.
And explain why they're overrated.
That makes more sense.
There we go.
So
Okay.
I can just be a hater. I want to be a hater at the Beatles concert. That's what I want.
That's fantastic.
And our final and most important question of all, with every eye closed and every head bowed, do you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior?
I do. That I do. That's an easy one.
We got him.
We got him. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Your Honor. And everybody check out the show Judged on Daily Wire Plus. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.